thank you for allowing me to take this opportunity now to question the witness here. I have a bill on the floor, so I'll have to excuse myself, and that will be good for Mr. Marshall, because I intended not only to use 5 minutes, but ask for more, since I have so much problems with your testimony. Let me start by saying that when you came here last year to talk to us about the findings of your report, I questioned the lack of substance of the report in terms of the economic, social, and cultural considerations. I even compare it to the massive and responsible reports that were done in the late 60s and the late 80s, and it seems superficial in both length and analysis. Today, you come here and you state that the report is not even to be considered a legal brief. Mr. Marshall, what is this document? If it is not good as a legal brief, it is not good as a research referral document. It's not even good, adequate to illustrate the historical and cultural reality of Puerto Rico, then what good is it?
The document is written with its audience in mind, which is to mean written without jargon, written not at great length. We were not paid by the word, and I don't think it was necessary for us to go on at great length. We've laid out the options clearly, and I think we've hit the major points. There are details we haven't addressed.
Thank you for your answer. The President's Task Force on Puerto Rico Status was comprised of a dozen executive branch officials chosen to study the issue of Puerto Rico status and prepare a report and recommendations to the President and the Congress on the sensitive issue of Puerto Rico's political status. How many Puerto Ricans in such an important issue to the people of Puerto Rico, I asked you, how many Puerto Ricans were part of this task force on Puerto Rico?
I'm not sure. I didn't pull the members.
I'm sorry?
I don't know.
The members from your task force, who were they?
I don't know whether any members were from Puerto Rico. I don't think they were, but it's possible.
And you don't think that in such an important issue on Puerto Rico?
The task force visited Puerto Rico, particularly Mr. Barales.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to deal with Mr. Barales later. How many public hearings did the task force hold in Puerto Rico during the 5+ years since it was established? How many?
The co-chairman of the task force went to Puerto Rico and had several meetings, including with political leaders in Puerto Rico. I don't know whether those would qualify as the
public hearings you're
talking about.
Public hearings. Public hearings. Not a meeting with the governor of Puerto Rico or a meeting with individual elected officials. I'm saying public hearings to listen to the people of Puerto Rico.
I'm not aware of any, as I indicated last year at the hearing.
How many meetings took place with all, or at least a majority of the task force members present?
I believe that's information concerning the internal workings of the executive branch that I'm not free to disclose.
Why is it that it's such a secret? That's the problem, you know? That is the problem, sir. You come here and in your testimony, you say that we will work with Congress. I am Congress here. I'm a member of Congress. To be sure that any process to solicit the views of the people of Puerto Rico is transparent, understandable, and fair. And you come in here and say that you can't share how many meetings because those are executive branch privileged? So let me ask you another question. How many officials visits to Puerto Rico did the task force, as a task force, make to Puerto Rico in order to get an in-person assessment of the issue the task force members were supposed to study and evaluate?
There were at least two.
With the members, who were the members who went to Puerto Rico?
Mr. Morales and Mr. Francisco, who was my predecessor.
Mr. Morales has been co-chair of the task force from the start, and you became co-chair with him after your predecessor, Noel Francisco, the U.S. Department of Justice left. Is that right?
That's correct.
It is also well known that though he is not testifying before us today, and he recently left the White House, through all these years, Mr. Morales has been the public face of the task force in terms of trips he took to Puerto Rico, meetings he may have had with elected officials and party representatives, interviews, and comments to the media. Isn't that the case?
I'm sorry, is what the case?
Isn't that was the case that Mr. Morales was basically the public face of the task force? That he was the one who gave statements and made comments about the task force, either here or in Puerto Rico?
Mr. Morales did speak publicly about the work of the task force.
So my question then is the following. Are you aware, I have my last question, since I'm not coming back.
Madam Chair.
Are you aware, just one, if
Will
you
the
allow.
chair yield? Will the chair yield?
To allow her to finish?
No, I would love to give a portion of my time, even though I haven't, to the gentlelady from
Thank you.
New York to continue the question.
Are you aware, Mr. Marshall, that Mr. Rubén Morales, co-chair of the task force until recently, went to Puerto Rico in July 2004 and publicly expressed his support for Puerto Rico becoming the 51st state? Were you aware of that?
When I testified to the Senate last November, I was asked that question, and it was based on a newspaper article, and I don't know whether that newspaper article's quotation was correct.
So all the papers in Puerto Rico were wrong?
Sometimes papers do get things wrong, and I wasn't going to
Well,
testify
it happens a lot.
based on what that one said.
Yeah. Sir, he went representing the White House on events in Puerto Rico and even political events in Puerto Rico, and he makes such statement. So you were charged in the executive order signed by the president to create this task force. They say, and the president clearly stated, that they will not interfere with the political dynamics that should take place in Puerto Rico, that they will not, the task force, be charged to express what political preference regarding any political status for Puerto Rico. And here you got your co-chair coming to Puerto Rico. So do you know how the people of Puerto Rico feel about this process? They are cynical, it lacks transparency, and it is totally unfair and undemocratic. That is what your task force report means for half of the people in Puerto Rico and for this member of Congress. We should be more serious, and there should be more honesty when we are dealing with such an important issue that is going to affect 8 million Puerto Ricans. And I invite you to revisit your task force and come to the United States and visit the people of the Puerto Rican descent and talk to them, since you didn't do it either here or in Puerto Rico. Thank you, Madam Chair.